All right, for these notes, we're going to do solving with 3 variables using Gauss elimination, which is a matrix. I'm going to stick to 2 possible steps. I know your paper might have a different steps. We're going to stick to these steps instead. If you need a 0, you multiply and add. If you need a 1, you switch or divide. So that's where we stick it on. And then how do I know if I need a 1 or 0? So we're going to focus on my goal. My goal is 1 as a diagonal and 0s underneath it. Everything else, I don't care what numbers I have, as long as I have those 1s and 0s where I need them. So that's what I mean by needing a 0 or 1. So first, we're going to check for standard form. We check for standard form by focusing on the x's first, then the y's, then the z's. Make sure we have an equal sign. And at the very end, we have the constants. So we do have standard form. This question is done. We're good to go. That means I can drop my numbers into my matrix. So I have 2, 1, 5. I got those numbers from in front of the x's. This is for the x's. Then I do y's and z's. For my y's, I have 3, 1, and 6. For my z's, I have 1, -1, and -4. After my line, I do my constants, 5, 10, and 35. Okay. Now we're going to focus on what we need. My goal is to have a 1 first. So I need a 1 here, but it's down here. So I'm going to switch. If I need a 1, I can switch or divide. In this case, I'm going to switch because the 1 is on the wrong spot. So switch those 2 rows. I did not change row 3. It's for 35. Switch row 1 and row 2. Do not change row 3. Right. Now that we have that, we can say we are logged in. We have that 1 where we need it. Now I need to focus on my other numbers, these numbers here. After the 1, I need a 0. So whenever you need a 0, if you need a 0, I multiply and add. So I have to do both, multiply and add. So here's how we do that step. I am going to multiply row 1 by -2. I got -2 because I need it to be the same number, opposite sign of what I'm trying to get rid of. And I multiply the first row because I'm going to add to row 2. So when I multiply, I get -2, and I'm going to add that here. Multiply 1 times -2 gives me -2. When I add it to the 2, that gives me 0. Multiply all of the columns. So in the next column, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So this is plus -2, this is +2, this is -20, and then we add. Notice I'm adding different numbers all the time. It just depends on what number I have up here. So we're in multiplying by -2, but we're adding whatever number I get from that multiplying. So when I add it, I get 1, 3, -15. I did not change my other rows, so I'm going to bring those down. All right. So far, I have this much. And oh, look, I have an extra number. If I look at my goal, I have these 3 numbers good to go. See? That's really nice. Now I need to get a 0 down here. Again, when you need a 0, we multiply and add. So we're going to do the same step. Multiply. Okay, I need a 0 here. So I'm going to multiply on the top row by -5. Again, it has to be the same number, opposite sign. And that way I can add it to the row I'm trying to get the 0 on, which is 3. So multiply and add. Multiply, add. So here's what I recommend. I recommend that you pause the video, multiply -5 4 times, and then add the numbers here and show me what the next row is going to be. pause the video, do it for yourself, and when you're ready, you can play the video again and we can compare the answers. Okay, so this is what I got. Hopefully you got the same thing. If not, you want to check your numbers on the calculator. Notice row 1 and row 2 stayed the same. This is the only place where I added those new numbers. And now we're going to move on to seeing what we have. It looks like this is good to go. I only need a 0 here. So I'm going to multiply this row by -1 and add it down here. I'm not going to multiply this top one because if I work with this one, when I add it here, I'm going to change the 0, and I cannot change the 0. I need to work with something that already has a 0 there too. So here's what the step is going to be. Since I need a 0, multiply to row 3. So bring the ones I'm not going to change over. Now, I need you to do it by yourself. I need you to try it. Multiply here by -1 and add. Here by -1 and add. Try it, pause the video. We can compare the answers later, but I need you to try it because otherwise you're probably not learning. So this is what I got when I multiplied. These are the numbers I was going to add. And when I added them, that's my new row. Check your work. If not, you want to double check that you multiplied and added correctly. But now I'm going to focus on getting a 1 here. When I need a 1, I either switch or divide. In this case, we're going to divide. And we divide by the number we're trying to get rid of, which is the -2. So we're going to divide the third row by -2. Try it, and then we can compare answers. Now that we've completed the goal, all numbers are in the correct spot. We're going to place the letters back in. Place X, Y, and the equal sign back where they go. So this is an X plus +Y minus 1Z equal to 10. I don't really need the zeros. So this is 1Y plus 3Z equal to -15. This is 1Z equal to 0. And then we work backwards. We know Z is 0. And so we work with the middle equation, which is just Y plus 3Z equal to -15. You plug in what you know, and you solve for Y. And then we do it for the top equation, where I'm solving for X. We plug in what we know, and then we solve for X. 25. So for my answer, I do the X value first, then the Y, and then the Z. So I have 25, -15, 0. There's my answer.